Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, informed world leaders at the 68th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York yesterday that Caribbean officials believe the offshore financial services sector must be regulated as it represents true tax competition and an honest opportunity for families and individuals to protect their privacy. Opal Roach tells us more.
In a powerful message before the United Nations General Assembly on Saturday, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, called on the international community, especially those powerhouses, to become more conscious and ensure that the economies of the vulnerable and weaker member states are not damaged.
We see the same dynamic at work in the ongoing economic aggression of many of the more developed countries against small offshore financial service-based economies, especially in the Caribbean region of which the Bahamas is a part. Some have used their power either unilaterally or in small groups of high-powered nations to impose their will, arguing that there is something fundamentally immoral, something intrinsically sinister about the accumulation of wealth in offshore jurisdictions. Mr. President, we reject that premise and we criticize in the strongest possible terms the efforts of some to maim and cripple, if not destroy, the offshore economies within our region.
Noting that regimes in place to counter terrorist financing and transnational crimes in a number of Caribbean states are more effective than those of bigger nations, the Prime Minister called on the General Assembly to consider this.
We need to challenge the United Nations to take the lead in developing and refining multilateral global mechanisms for the governance of the offshore financial services sector. Mechanisms that will meet the legitimate demands of the developed world for the protection of their fiscal systems and their need for greater security, while at the same time allowing offshore financial service economies to continue to grow in an orderly and properly regulated way.
Now, Mr. Christie also warned of the possible repercussions involved in destroying offshore financial service economies.
To destroy this sector in the Caribbean would effectively cause tens of thousands of newly empowered middle-class citizens to slip back into poverty or to migrate to the developed world. Mr. President, the middle class of which I speak constitutes the anchor of social stability for countries in our region. Take that away, and social destabilization emerges as a risk of the most ominous kind. And should that risk materialize, the developed world may well end up finding that it has only solved one problem by creating an infinitely bigger one for itself.
The Prime Minister and his delegation, which includes his wife, Mrs. Bernadette Christie, returned to the capital on Sunday. In New York, I'm Opal Roach, ZNS Network News.